This video was brought to you by Surfshark.
Hello friends, my name is JJ, and let's say you want to do a bit of travel in the fabulous US of A. Well, that is much easier said than done. After all, there are 50 different states to choose from, and how do you possibly determine which one is the most deserving of your hard-earned tourist dollars? Well, lucky for us, every single American state has its very own government-sanctioned Department of Tourism, and every tourism department has its very own YouTube channel. And today I thought we would review the most popular videos from each of these 50 channels. Since the most watched videos tend to be ones that the states have been promoting the most in the form of YouTube pre-roll ads and so on, these videos provide a pretty revealing glimpse into what these states consider their most compelling pitch to the public to be, and in many cases what the public itself is most intrigued by. I'm going to go through each of the states in alphabetical order, so if you want to skip ahead and see what I had to say about your state, that's fine, I'll just wait. Okay, you done? Good. But before we begin, let us just hear a quick word from today's video sponsor, Surfshark.
Hello, friends. So the Canadian government is basically writing the Surfshark ads themselves these days. As I discussed in a recent award-winning video, due to the Trudeau government's Bill C-18, a number of big tech companies have begun eliminating the ability of Canadians to view news articles on social media as part of some ridiculous political tit-for-tat I won't get into here. But the point is, you never know how your government is going to screw up the internet next. Between blocked websites, banned videos, and social media boycotts, a lot of the quality of the internet you experience will depend heavily on which country you live in. And even then, a lot of countries will have an internet that is good in some ways, but bad in others. But luckily, Surfshark is here to help you weasel around these national headaches. You see, Surfshark is a VPN, which allows you to pretend to be from any country you want when you go online, even Italy. And this fools the internet into allowing you to see all of the stuff that your government or the big corporations don't want you to, which in my case apparently includes Canadian news. Anyway, if you're interested in escaping the walled garden that is your country's internet, just give the link in the thing below a click and use the promo code JJMCC to get Surfshark absolutely free for 3 months when you sign up for a 24-month subscription. And do not forget that Surfshark also has a 30-day money-back guarantee. Surfshark. Secure your digital life today.
Alright, so we will start with good old Alabama. Their top video at over 1.7 million views is nearly an hour long, making it by far the longest of any of the videos we're going to be looking at today, and it is called Alabama Barbecue Legends. It's actually a pretty charming mini documentary profiling various people across the state who run barbecue restaurants, which is Alabama's most iconic local cuisine. These folks tend to be real salt-of-the-earth types who are very passionate about tradition and maintaining the integrity of their recipes and restaurants, many of which they inherited from their parents. Did it make me want to visit Alabama? Well, even as somebody who doesn't eat meat, I have to say the video was very effective at making these restaurants seem like fun, hospitable places run by highly conscientious men and women devoted to giving their customers a unique dining experience of a sort you can't get anywhere else. Given that Alabama is not a place that a lot of people think of as having a particularly rich culture, I think the long, serious nature of the video is quite effective at subverting these expectations and making the state seem compelling to the egghead foodie crowd. I give it 5 out of 5 briskets. Next up, we have Alaska, a state that, while not necessarily a huge tourist draw, is also unique enough to make its tourist pitch pretty predictable. And indeed, their channel's most popular video, Go Big, Go Alaska, is just a 30-second spot, mostly showing off their state's natural beauty with the big mountains and glaciers and all of that. Little cliche Alaska, but I guess they know it works. Arizona's most popular video is very short, only 16 seconds, so let's just watch it together and you can tell me if it makes you want to go there.
Here you are in Arizona, where time is measured in moments, not minutes. And relaxation is an art form. Visit a new state of mind in Arizona. Plan your trip at hereyouareaz.com.
What you just saw is a very standard format for US tourism ads. Basically just a few clips of middle-class people enjoying stereotypical tourist activities with a narrator reciting some cliched boilerplate about how the state is this marvelous place where you can both find yourself and have a good time. Settle in, because we are going to be seeing a lot of this sort of thing. Anyway, I give it an F. So Arkansas is not exactly killing it in the video department. Their most popular video only has 242,000 views and was released 9 years ago. It is a 3-minute summary of quite literally everything Arkansas has to offer, and I would say suffers from being kind of chaotic and overwhelming as a result. They got nature, they got surfing, they got casinos, they got Bill Clinton, they got a purse museum. They also have food, but I must say, after watching that Alabama video, I was a little underwhelmed by their supposed world-class cuisine. I personally do not find these throw everything in the kitchen sink type tourist videos compelling. I in fact think they come off as a little needy and insecure. Like, obviously Arkansas isn't great at everything, so don't pretend it is. As we shall see, videos that focus on just the 1 or 2 things that actually make their state unique tend to be a lot more compelling. On the opposite extreme of the generic ads of Arizona and Arkansas, we have California, the most visited state in America and one of the most popular tourist destinations on Earth. Because tourism is such a big part of their economy, California's tourism department has a ton of money, and a lot of their YouTube videos are pretty high budget and high concept as a result. You can see what I mean with their most popular video, which is called Am I Dreaming? And has over 21 million views.
Was I dreaming?
No, you're in California.
It is a real testament to the fame of California that while other states have to make ads that are very literal guides to things that you can do and see, California can basically just pitch itself on vibes alone. The top Colorado video is quite nice, I gotta say. It is called No Waiting, and while on the one hand it is just some standard footage of natural beauty, it is juxtaposed against a rather hauntingly poetic speech that ends with this beautiful line.
We will not wait another day, for waiting is the opposite of living.
I'm not gonna lie, the first time I heard it, it actually made me tear up a little bit. I just think that is such a wonderful way to think about life. Waiting is the opposite of living. So yes, good job, State of Colorado Tourism Board. I doubt that is gonna happen with many of the other videos. Connecticut is pushing tourism quite hard right now, which in a low tourism state is often a sign that their economy is not doing so hot. Their current campaign is called Find Your Vibe, with their most popular video being a 30-second spot called Find Your Vibe 2, which is specifically geared towards getting tourists to come right now in the summer of 2023, and I do not think it is very good. It's like the Arkansas ad. It's just a big mishmash of random generic stuff without any clear indication of what actually makes Connecticut a unique state. There's a brief clip of people sailing, however, which I know is a very uniquely New England thing. It should have been all sailing, if you ask me. That would have been way more of a uniquely Connecticut angle, as opposed to ladies at the beauty parlor. Delaware. Whew. Things don't seem to be going well for Delaware tourism. Their official channel has less than 1,000 subscribers and only 294,000 views in total, making their tourism videos the least watched of any state. Their most popular video only has 70,000 views and was posted 8 years ago. I guess it's supposed to portray Delaware as a very relaxing place because the video is almost sedative in how chill it is.
To take time away and share experiences that bond us together.
Kind of like the part of a medication commercial where the guy lists all of the side effects. Alright, so hopefully Florida can show us how it's done, given that they are supposed to be America's #2 tourism state after California. At 56,000 subs, their channel is by far America's most popular, with their most popular video having an impressive 7.8 million views. It's a pretty on-the-nose video, however. No voiceover, just footage of beaches. I guess if you've gone your entire life learning literally nothing about Florida, that might be enough to win you over, but for the rest of us, it feels wanting. Georgia is the first state since Alabama whose most popular tourism video has a somewhat unique premise. It is a 3.5-minute video about the show Ozark, which was filmed in Georgia, and they talk to the stars about what it was like working in the state. And I quite like this video. I think it is a very creative way to show off the state, and the stars seem very sincere when they talk about all of the stuff that Georgia has going for it. The video is not super popular, but it does have the most public engagement of any video we're going to look at today, with over 220 comments, mostly from fans of the show who were lured in. So in that sense, it seems like an impressive enough success story. I give it 5 peaches. So Hawaii is, of course, another state with a huge tourism budget. Their most popular video, which is just over a minute long and has 9 million views, is interesting because even though it is framed as a showcase of the state's beauty, it also has a somewhat hectoring tone, telling tourists to be respectful of the nature and culture in order to make your visit more meaningful. The impression that I get is that the state is trying to push back a bit against their stereotypical image as this tacky beach resort for white middle-class families, and instead lean more into the idea that Hawaii is a serious, mature place with a sophisticated culture that is deserving of reverence. It's a way to perhaps broaden the state's appeal to a more educated, progressive demographic, and I think it does so well. Idaho's most popular video offers a more standard look at the state's natural landscape, which, speaking as a resident of one of Idaho's neighbors, I can confirm is indeed very beautiful. Their video is also somewhat defensive, however, because it was made in 2020 and features a lot of COVID-era language that now feels a little dated.
Things might be a little different next time we see you, but our scenic byways, winding rivers, rugged mountains, and wide open spaces haven't changed.
The top Illinois video is called This Is Illinois Made and is a 15-second spot that focuses on the idea that Illinois is a place where you can get a lot of locally made stuff like food and art and furniture. I like this angle a lot more than what I figured their tourist pitch has historically been, namely, come to Chicago. According to their most popular video, Indiana is basically just another generically American place with nature and museums and hipster restaurants. Pass. I found Iowa's top video to be incredibly obnoxious, and not just because it had closed captions you can't turn off. Let me just show it to you in its totality, because I really cannot stand tourism videos of this sort.
What if there was a place where magic lasted longer than a moment? Where slowing down doesn't mean boring, or where community is a way of life. A place where dreams are realized, where arts, culture, and spirit shine brighter than ever, and where new discoveries wait at every turn. This is Iowa.
I just hate that combination of generic language from some peppy narrator about dreams and culture and community interspliced with footage of stuff that literally every state has. On some level, it doesn't even feel respectful of the state to treat it in such a frivolous way. 0 out of 5 corn cobs for Iowa. Kansas has a pretty underwhelming top video as well. It has the rather odd name of Kansas Fishing Urban Stocking Program, which I have learned refers to the fact that the Kansas government restocks their state's lakes with fish every year, though this is not explained in the video itself. Anyway, the video is about how Kansas is a great place to fish, which I have also learned is generally considered a bit of a no-no from a tourism advertising perspective. And this is because A, fishing is a relatively niche hobby that most people do not care about, and B, you can find good places to fish basically anywhere on this continent with very little difficulty. North America in general is a fisherman's paradise. So when a place uses fishing as its main pitch to tourists, it can be taken as a sign that the place doesn't really have much else going for it. And also the delivery on the narration was just terrible.
And with so many fishing lakes inside our city limits, there are plenty of nearby fishing spots to enjoy.
Kentucky seems like a real snooze. Louisiana's top video is interesting because while not super popular, it is a lot like the Georgia video in the sense that a lot of people seem to have discovered it organically, as opposed to because it was blasted into their eyeballs directly via a pre-roll ad. It is called How to Do a Louisiana Seafood Boil and is a jaunty little 1-minute guide to making Louisiana seafood boil, which apparently isn't terribly complicated. Although I will note that you can find a lot of seafood boil purists in the comments complaining that they did it wrong. But still, it's a fun video that introduces something unique about Louisiana, namely their distinctive food culture in a creative and unconventional way. And for that, I give this video 5 crawdads. The state of Maine seems to be pumping a lot of money into tourism promotion these days. Their YouTube channel has over 64 million views, putting it up there with California and Florida. The channel's top video, however, which has an impressive 10 million views, is just a solid C effort, I would say. On the one hand, it's your standard B-roll and voiceover formula, but on the other hand, it does seem like they put at least some effort into limiting the B-roll to distinctive Maine scenery, with lighthouses and harbors and pine tree forests. The message is basically, yup, this is what Maine has to offer, take it or leave it. Okay, so what do you think a big draw to Maryland would be? Well, according to their most popular video, which is admittedly not that popular, the answer is Civil War trails.
Explore Maryland's authentic stories during the 150th anniversary of the War Between the States. Order our Civil War Trails guides at visitmaryland.org and download our new Civil War mobile app. Maryland, land of history.
It's kind of an odd video. You can see it's so old it even predates YouTube switching to widescreen format, but their website is still offering those trail maps. The Massachusetts ad is another solid C. It's another one of those rapid montage types, but the little animations make it feel a bit fresh. It doesn't cover too much ground, and the more generic stuff like hiking is balanced by more particular stuff like attending a Red Sox game or eating lobster. I gotta say though, I am really getting tired of places thinking that their boring public art is somehow something that's going to attract tourists. It's like, wow, you have a brightly colored painted building and some big hearts made of metal? Truly, I must drop everything and venture to this remarkable land of creativity. Michigan's top ad seems to be very popular with actual Michiganders based on all of the positive comments, so I guess they're doing something right. It is a somewhat meditative reflection on the idea of Michigan as a land of open roads, as narrated by Mr. Buzz Lightyear himself, Tim Allen, one of the most famous Michiganders.
The open road is alive and well, and waiting to take us to pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Lots of positive comments about the video's music as well, which is the theme from the movie The Cider House Rules. Though that's also kind of an odd choice, given the film is probably one of the most famous movies ever made about Maine.
Good night, you princes of Maine, you kings of New England.
Minnesota's ad is terrible. Another generic montage of scenes that could be from any one of like 36 different states, and you'd never know which one unless you saw the end card. So in contrast to that last one, the Mississippi video is probably one of the very best, I would say. It's a 30-second spot that emphasizes Mississippi's importance in the struggle for civil rights for Black Americans, which tourists can experience in the form of a number of fairly dark tourist sites. A mixed-race crowd is shown doing this while a African-American gospel song plays in the background.
Keep shining on, yeah, keep shining, yeah, keep shining on, wow.
It's just a very powerful, mature ad that I think works well in making Mississippi come off as a place with something very special to offer visitors. The top Missouri ad is probably one of the most professionally made after California. It features this attractive lady who is supposed to embody the state herself, walking you through all of the stuff that she has to offer, with smooth transitions and nice costumes and sets and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's just another one of these ads where the state promises to be all things to all people. So I only give it 2 out of 5 Buckeyes. Or is that an Ohio thing? Maybe if your ad was a bit more distinctive, I would know the difference, Missouri. If there's one thing Montana is known for, it's mountains, and their most popular video shows a guy wandering those mountains and talking about how beautiful it all is, with the unique narrative angle being that he is an artist who has come to paint them, and then you are told to watch the longer form of the video on the Montana tourism website. And it seems like the pitch worked to some degree. The long form video, which is actually only 4 minutes long, has 24,000 views, which, although not a ton, is pretty good for something like this. I think the painter angle is clever, and the cinematography of the ad is quite distinct and beautiful, so I give this one an A. I really like the Nebraska ad as well. It is a 15-second short that introduces the concept of tanking, which is apparently a thing that Nebraskans do where they sail down the river in a big metal tub. That seems like a kind of fun and distinctive thing that I would want to do if I ever visited. I also like how self-deprecating the ad was. They begin by saying,
"Some people think it's really hard to find things to do in Nebraska."
And then the parting slogan is,
"Nebraska, honestly, it's not for everyone."
To a contrarian-minded person like me, this has a strong reverse psychology appeal. It's like, oh ho, this state is not for normies, you say. Sign me up. Nevada is another very high tourism state, known mostly for one thing. But their top ad doesn't talk about Vegas at all, and instead focuses on hikes. Playing up hiking is sort of like playing up fishing, in the sense it can come off as a little desperate. But Nevada's ad at least emphasizes their state's distinctive desert landscape, so there's that. New Hampshire's short ad is pretty generic, but I like how it briefly showed that they have some sort of European-style waterfront. The whole ad should have just been about that. New Jersey's ad was very lame. It basically just said, "We got lots of stuff, come visit our website." I like the cameo appearance by this guy, however. New Mexico's top video is the most popular of any state, having been viewed a staggering 44 million times. It is a 15-second look at Carlsbad Caverns, an extremely famous and beautiful system of underground caves narrated by a little girl.
700 feet beneath the surface, stalagmites and stalactites, million-year-old all-stars in a natural stadium. Carlsbad Caverns National Park.
Simple, focused, and compelling, I give it 5 of these things. For such a popular state, New York has one of the least viewed tourism videos. I suspect that's because so much of the state's tourism is based around the city, which has its own separate tourism channel. Anyway, the top New York State video is a silent 30-second spot depicting the joys of autumn in the Catskills Mountains. It is saved from being completely generic by the video's heavy focus on zip lining, which does strike me as a pretty solid value add. North Carolina has what I think is one of the shortest videos of any state, but also one of the most popular. 13 seconds, but 13 million views. It's kind of odd. Let me show you. The follow-up video has been viewed more than 256,000 times, which I guess reflects well on the compelling mystery of the first one. It's an admittedly sweet 2.5-minute story about this mother and her daughter, both visiting the coast for the first time, which is this big thrill. But honestly, I just found the premise kind of too strange to fully relate to. Like, if you've never seen the ocean before and want to now, why pick North Carolina, of all places, as your introduction? Because it's cheaper? Is that what's being implied with the whole single mother idea? I don't know, the narrative just felt kind of off to me. North Dakota is infamously the least visited of all states, so their ad better be good, and it's not. They went with fishing. Ohio's top ad is another one that tries to redeem the tired old "we got a bunch of random stuff" format with a bit of a narrative gimmick. In this case, a grandma who surprises her granddaughter at Ohio University with a spontaneous road trip across the state, where they proceed to do the same half-dozen generic activities every other state offers. I did like, however, that the ad at least labeled where they were, which is a courtesy a lot of the other videos don't bother with. Oklahoma's ad is relatively generic as well, distinguished only by the fact that it has a quirky Dr. Seuss-esque rhyming narrator.
Whatever you like, from mountains to museums, Oklahoma has more. You just have to see them.
It made me wonder if Dr. Seuss was maybe born there or something, but no, he was not. No one famous, in fact, was born in Oklahoma. Growing up in British Columbia, Oregon was always my family's tourism state of choice, so I was pleased to see that they have a very cool ad that also appears to have achieved its 1 million views organically, rather than just through pre-roll ad buys. It is a 2-minute, very Miyazaki-esque animated short that seeks to capture the vibe of Oregon's natural wonders. Only slightly exaggerated is the clever slogan at the end. This is a very flamboyantly outside-of-the-box sort of ad that I'm sure won the Oregon Tourism Board a bunch of awards. And honestly, it works for me. It's not exactly the Oregon I remember from my childhood, but it's tough not to be seduced by this level of effort. A+. Pennsylvania also has a pretty quirky, vibey ad, though it feels a lot more generic. It just shows this wacky, colorful family heading down to the beach. I guess the conceit is that Pennsylvania is a good place for slightly odd people to feel welcome. I don't know, I kind of liked it. 4 keystones. Come to Rhode Island. We are exactly what you're expecting. That's what their 360p resolution ad apparently wants you to know. South Carolina has a lot of stuff to do outside, including ziplining, so I guess New York wasn't so special after all. Now, South Dakota has long been known for only having one tourist attraction, making them a notoriously insecure people. And that insecurity informs their ad, as we will see.
So surprising. So much more than Rushmore. So much to see, hear, smell, taste, enjoy. Grab the kids. Tell the dog. There's so much South Dakota, so little time.
Yes, that's all well and good, but how do I get to Mount Rushmore? Personally, I think the ad would have been more fun if they had just really leaned into the Rushmore angle. Like, imagine if the ad was about some family just doing all sorts of random fun stuff, but Mount Rushmore was visible in the background of every single shot. You should hire me, South Dakota. I will make you a much better ad. Tennessee's top ad is a solid B, I would say. It's kind of a bait and switch because it starts off as a generic montage type thing, but then ends by leaning heavily into the idea of Tennessee as the music capital of America, which is their strongest distinguishing pitch. It's simple, but effective. The Texas ad is pretty clever. Let me just show you the whole thing.
Thanks to this tourism commercial, you can imagine yourself on a trip to Texas. Just think, you could make this exact memory. You could even post this exact same picture.
That's not how it works. This vacation is taken.
It's our I can't believe my eyes trip to Texas.
This is our trip to Texas. Go get your own.
So I give it high marks for being subversive and memorable, but at the same time, I don't think it necessarily does the best job of marketing Texas per se. It kind of feels more like an ad for the virtues of self-directed tourism in general. You know, like, go do what you want to do. Don't let some ad set your ambitions. Utah's top video is compelling because, weirdly enough, it is the only ad that seems to put any effort into attracting tourists from outside of America. It's about 1.5 minutes and features an Indian photographer talking about coming to Utah to take pictures of the state's amazing stone formations, which aren't found anywhere else on Earth.
I came across Kodachrome a few years back. The night skies over here are some of the best that I've seen. I've really tried to find locations like those where I can avoid the crowds as well as I can get unique shots that nobody has seen before.
I like this ad a lot. I think it tells a simple, engaging story, illustrating something special that Utah has to offer, while also playing up the idea that the state is a welcoming and attractive place to people other than white middle-class families. 5 Joseph Smiths. Vermont's top ad is just footage of some people mountain biking. It's cool, I guess, but I also feel like you can mountain bike in pretty much every state. You know, I've really come to resent any state that thinks that we have forests is some super compelling pitch. Virginia is known for being a state that is quite good at marketing itself to tourists. Their top video I didn't really find super compelling though. It's just a guy, a lifelong Virginian, who hangs out in the beautiful scenery and says that even though he's traveled all over the world, he still keeps coming back to Virginia. That's nice, I guess, but all of the states have nature, and most of them have this kind of nature specifically. Okay, we are getting near the end now. Near as I can tell, the state of Washington does not have an official YouTube channel promoting tourism. Their official tourism website does not have a YouTube link, and I was unable to find one despite much searching. Their tourism department has one, where you can watch videos of their meetings and stuff, but there is no channel with Washington State tourism ads. This is a huge, inexcusable L, and I officially declare Washington the worst state in America at tourism promotion as a result. If you are a journalist from there, feel free to use this as a pretext to write a lazy clickbait story. West Virginia is another state that is notorious for having very low tourism and a very low public profile in general, with the main thing that most people know about the place is that it is mentioned in that John Denver song.
West Virginia.
And it seems their tourism board is aware of this, with their most watched tourism ad just being a 2-minute lyric video for that song, with footage illustrating that West Virginia does in fact have a lot of country roads. It's actually not that bad of a video, very beautiful and vibey, maybe a little lazy though. It would be like if the New York video was just B-roll of the city with Sinatra going, New York, New York. Wisconsin's top video is a 15-second spot called Here's to Traveling by Fork, and plays up the idea that there are lots of good things to eat in Wisconsin, though we only actually see one meal and it looks pretty generic. I did not find myself persuaded by the premise of this ad. And lastly, we've got everybody's favorite, Wyoming. It's another fishing video. Okay, so there you have it. The top tourism videos of all 50 states. I would say that having watched them all, my top 5 in no particular order would be Mississippi, Alabama, Nebraska, Oregon, and Georgia. But I want to know what you guys think. Which one did you like best? And what do you think makes for a good or bad tourism video? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week.